Welcome back, everybody, or welcome to another edition of Nain's Shorts, where we tackle the big questions. Okay, maybe we don't tackle the big questions. It's just some random guy rambling on about his training and the stuff that goes through his head as he's doing it. For those of you who are new to the program, I've been training for 9.5 years in a form of Filipino martial arts called the Bladed Mind, pioneered by one Dan Ramos and perpetuated by his younger brother Rico Ramos. And I guess now by me to an extent, but every once in a while we come up with ideas or questions as to why we do what we do. Or at least I know I do. That's kind of a common theme for me as I train, is to wonder why. The Bladed Mind has taught me that the why gives you great insight into being able to do something. Understanding why you're going about something, whether it's why you strike a certain way, why you move your feet a certain way, why you keep your balance under you, and all these things, all these reasons behind the things that we do. But that's for the physical. What about the mental, right? And we have concepts that we train and we have ideas that we go through. And as I was doing a carenza just a few minutes ago, I started wondering, why the hell do I train every day? Like, why do I put my body through this? Why do I go to class? Why do I spend the hours honing skill or skill sets that I hope never to use? I mean, you have to question periodically the sense that makes. You really hope you don't have to use the things that you learn in a real life situation, or at least that's the focus of my training, is to survive a violent attack. But in order for me to know how useful what I'm doing is, I'd have to be attacked violently. And honestly, I'd rather not. I'm not a big fan of pain, nor talking to the police afterwards, explaining what happened or didn't happen. So I'd rather not experience it, but yet that's the focus of my training. And for me, I have to periodically wonder and get into my own head and consider the futility of it or its usefulness. Now, we've talked about this before in the sense of whether or not violence is more than it used to be, less than it used to be. Personally, I think it's about the same. It's just more deadly out there nowadays. It's so much easier for somebody to take somebody's life over the dumbest of things. And unfortunately, I think as a society, we're very reactive. Something happens and all of a sudden we need to do something about it. But it's after the fact. Did we have any opportunity prior to something horrible happening to have taken measures, to have studied something or done something different, implemented something that could have prevented that in the future? And do any of us really think that way? Do any of us really take the time to say, okay, this is a possibility. I need to have some idea, at the very least, some small idea of what I would do in that situation? Or is it just us crazy people? Because in this conversation, I've come to the realization that that's the reason I train. I train because I just have no clue what's around the corner. Literally, I have no idea what's around the physical corner of the street that I happen to be on right now until I actually get there. Sure, there are many benefits that come from the training that I do, so much so that I feel that I can see a little further ahead because I'm actually looking for something to go wrong. And maybe it's not that I'm looking for it as much as I'm aware that it's a possibility. And because I'm aware of a possibility, I might be able to catch it before I have to be involved in it, before it becomes an issue for me. So I guess one of the benefits of training on a regular basis is that I genuinely feel safer. I feel more at ease. But then why do I question it? Why do I take the time to have this conversation with myself, even though I've known that all along because this isn't anything new. And I'm sure many of you who train on a regular basis know for a fact why you train and the benefits that come from it. But do we ever ask ourselves, do we ever find ourselves feeling a little lazier than we did the day before, where we found any excuse not to go and train, not to hone our skills? Because the thing about something like martial arts, at least from what I've noticed, is that you have to keep it sharp. You have to keep practicing. You do your drills and exercises. Sure, for me, the focus is to always repeat those and learn something new every time I repeat it. That's my focus and the way I was taught to train. But we still have to keep that sharp. We still have to keep the movements alive. And now that I'm talking out loud, I'm realizing the importance of then teaching and sharing it with other people. And I don't mean the sense of having to open your own school and making money off it, because that's not the purpose that I was taught for sharing this information or even making these videos. It's so I'm constantly keeping fresh in my mind what it is that I know. And even challenging myself to see if I know more than I did before. Do I understand something else beyond what was given me? Beyond what was given to me? Beyond what I was taught? And as I'm doing this, as I'm sharing with you, as I'm given the opportunity to teach newer students, I find myself seeing, even though it's all the same stuff, I see it differently. I understand it differently. Now, is that because I've become smarter? Probably not. I'm sure Rick and several people that know me personally are like, nope, dumb as a rock. But something is changing within me. Something has changed within me. And when I look back at the very basics, the very simple movements from our basic 2 strikes, to relaying that information to somebody else, somebody new, somebody that has no experience in martial arts, or somebody that has plenty of experience in other martial arts, it looks different all of a sudden. I see more than I used to see before. I get to experience it through a different set of eyes and a different understanding, even though it's the same information. The same tired thing that we've done before, the same reason that we question, why the hell am I doing this? And it becomes something completely new. And in that moment, I find myself revitalized. And the question of why I train is no longer as important as wondering how I'm going to train. How am I going to change the way that I do things so it fits this new narrative, so it fits this new information that I now can finally see. Information that was always there. Because that's the thing that I think makes us different, makes us from beginning students to better students, I'd say. I'm not going to say masters because I don't know if such a thing exists, and I'm not going to say, experts, because I don't know if that's a thing either. Because I don't think I'm there, and no one else has said that I'm there, so I have to question whether or not that's a possibility. At least it isn't for me right now. But to understand something a little better, to understand the very same things you were taught 9 years ago, and look at it in a completely different light, and not just because your instructor pulled it out of his ass and explained it a different way that made more sense than it did before, or you heard the same thing from somebody different, and all of a sudden, everything clicked. Whatever the reason, whatever the cause, we keep on doing this, we keep on training, we keep on repeating the same things over and over again, making mistakes, learning from them, so we can view it differently, so we can look at it differently. And at the same time, we get reminded as to why we started to begin with. How far we've come along and how far we still have to go. It definitely gives a great sense of perspective of where we are and where we still want to be. Because I'm nowhere near the end of my road or even concept of where I should be as a martial artist. But if I don't question it, if I don't take the time to wonder, well, then am I even really on that path anymore? Am I really walking down the road that I'm supposed to? Is it a choice or is it an inevitable thing? I haven't the slightest clue. All I know is that after having this conversation with you guys, I want to train. I want to see what else I can figure out. What else can I teach? What else can be taught to me? Yeah, that's an exciting moment to be in. And I want to keep this going for as long as I can because, well, I want to keep on training for as long as I can, for hopefully never having to use this other than to express it to other people and share it with other people. Because, yeah, I really don't want to get violently attacked to figure out whether or not what I'm doing is working. But until that happens, I'm going to keep pushing it and testing it and finding different ways and maybe different people that could push me just to the brink. Still within a controlled setting, still within a friendly setting where I'm not going out to a bar and getting drunk and starting a fight with somebody. Although that does sound kind of fun now that I say it out loud. You know what? I'm going to go drinking out with Bear because I remember him. He used to be that guy. He used to be the brawler in the bar room, so... Oh, man. Or maybe I just need more ghetto friends. Who knows? But either way, it's not something that I'm ready to do just yet, nor do I think it's the best choice to test out your stuff. But in a sense, you do have to test it, right? You do have to push the limits of it. Maybe I join a tournament. Maybe I'll put some gloves on and a helmet and I'll get in there, or maybe no helmet. Well, maybe I'll start doing MMA. I don't know, but I think now, after having this open conversation about it, there has to be another step. There has to be a different way to push the limits of what I'm doing. In Kaju, we're getting to the point where we are sparring more. My training partner is becoming more and more proficient, and we get to do more sparring, little by little, eventually with minimal protection. Because, again, we have to keep pushing that envelope. We have to get as close to the real thing as we possibly can without killing each other, without any animosity afterwards, because, you know, some guys are very sensitive. They get butthurt really fast. You know, you say something about their wife and all of a sudden you guys are fighting and you have to bust out weapons and he has a knife and then you pull out your... It becomes a big old mess when feelings get involved. So if we can do it within a controlled setting, within a friendly controlled setting, then I'm all for it. If you guys have any suggestions as to how we can push our training so it's a bit more realistic without, you know, dying, then please let me know, because let's not cross that line. Not yet anyways. Not unless we have to. And secretly in the back of my head, I keep hoping for the zombie apocalypse because, you know, then killing zombies, I'm not going to feel bad about that. I mean, you hope for it, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Still, getting attacked out in the street, finding yourself in a bad situation, well, that's a lot more realistic and a lot more... that's right. So, talking about realism and finding yourself in new places or different places where you can train ideas and concepts from great instructors, people who have actually survived violent situations such as, you know, a war. Master Green's knife fighting class is coming. Was it in Reno? Carson City. Yes. Master Green's, I forget the whole title, but we're going to put in the link. We're going to put a link to his Facebook page, his one-on-one combative night. We are well prepared, folks. I'm reading the cue cards, but apparently I can't read very well. But one-on-one combative knife, Master Harry Green, he will be teaching again in Carson City, Nevada. So check it out on Facebook. You can look up one-on-one, is it one-on-one martial arts? One-on-one combative martial arts, or Harry Green. Either Facebook links will work, and you can look up at all the details. I believe Wolf's Den will be hosting. That is our good friend John Atkinson, and also he
April
has his wares,
15th.
so you can always purchase something while you're there. But definitely, if you can, Make a date of it. And what date is that, Rick?
April 1st, I believe.
Awesome. We will give you more details as we get closer to the date as well. But definitely keep an eye out for that because it is a lot of fun and you do get a lot of information that goes into, well, surviving a knife attack. Because frankly, that's sadly far too realistic. And something that happens a lot, far more than we know because, well, we don't always see everything on the news. So, do you go about your days questioning why you do what you do? I do from time to time, and today, thank you for letting me share that with you because it's just a process of my learning. I have to question and see whether or not the answers are the same this time around than they were last time. And every time that it happens, I learn a little bit more about me, more than anything else, and what drives me. So, thank you for joining me on another one of Nain's Shorts. Hope to see you on the next one. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please do so. Share this with your friends. And until the next one, 3, 2, 1, cut!